Good morning, everybody. This lesson is on Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. We have been talking about Virginia Woolf and her literary production, as well as her poetics, interior time, moments of being. Now, I would like to focus on the last words, on the last concepts of Virginia Woolf, so that you can understand and realize and better describe her book, the one among the others, which she wrote. We can say that Mrs. Dalloway covers one day from morning to night in a woman's life. The woman in question, obviously, is Mrs. Dalloway. She's an upper class housewife because Clarissa is her name, obviously, is her first name. Dalloway has married a lieutenant, Mr. Richard Dalloway, so she belongs to an upper class family. Um, Mrs. Dalloway has been written in 1925, so almost during or at the end of the First World War. She's going to buy a bunch of flower, because she's going to organize a party to which part a lot of people are taking part. Um, she works through her London neighborhoods to prepare for the party, so she will host that evening. When Clarissa returns from a flower shop, she meets an old suitor and friend. Suitor is someone who is kind of follower today. The follower is a quite normal and used term as far as our social world concerns. Anyway, Peter Walsh is her former boyfriend. She was really in love with him, sorry, as he was in love with her. But they meet unexpectedly, and she decides to invite him to the party. At the same time, Peter Walsh is asking her questions about her her daughter, Elizabeth, and she says that everything is going all right. But what happens then? While she is walking towards the neighborhood and she's going to buy the bunch of flowers, she backwards and forwards obvious shifts of time that is particular of Virginia Woolf's technique, while she concentrates in a whole day a lot of events which had taken place long time ago. But unexpectedly, while going to buy those flowers, she reminds and she remembers of particular people or particular souvenirs of her life towards the dramatic life experienced during the First World War. And she shifts her memory shifts to that of Septimus Smith. Who is Septimus Smith? Septimus Smith was a very young poet who was in love with Shakespeare, was in love with poetry, and he was a very sensitive man. Um, he meets this Septimus Smith, who was a shell shock vet of First World War. We have been talking about the problem and the fact of First World War, especially with the war poets. At that time, there were a lot of shell-shocked people because they couldn't realize how hard uh, has it been to direct and to experience life during that time and to experience in first hand war. And Septimus Smith has experienced war. So she knows that the conditions of Septimus Smith are not so clear and so safe. Septimus Smith, he is followed by a psychiatrist, Dr. William Bradshaw, who is also an intimate friend of Mrs. Dalloway and of Richard Dalloway as well, who, not by chance, has been invited to the famous party Mrs. Dalloway is organizing for that night. Before the war, Septimus, as I told you, was a budding poet. He loved Shakespeare, and enlisted. He was enlisted in war to fight for patriotic reasons. That's why he takes place. He takes part. Sorry, uh, in the First World War. Now, let's meet and let's cross the life of Septimus Smith. Septimus Smith is going to be healed from the psychiatrist, from Dr. Bradshaw, but it is very difficult. And at the end, he finds the only solution to separate him from his wife, Lucrezia, who is Septimus's wife, because the Dr. Bradshaw wants to send him to a psychiatric house in order to heal his mental illness. But at the same time, what happens? We have the shift, the scene moves. Just imagine that we are watching a movie, watching a film. The image shifts suddenly to the party, to the evening party, where Mrs. Dalloway meets all her guests, and accidentally she gets to know from Dr. Bradshaw's wife that Septimus Smith has committed suicide. This notice and this news shocks her, but at the same time relieves her from a terrible pain, because through that thing, even Mrs. Dalloway can embrace life in a different manner. Why? Because the reasons why Septimus Smith decided to abandon life, to commit suicide, jumping from a balcony of the mental house, is that he is more scared to to welcome a new form of life, to have his mind managed by someone else, by medicines in that case, that's living on his own. And so that is an hymn towards freedom of being totally, as can we say, a totally owner of life. So at this time, um, Mrs. Dalloway, of course, is really shocked, and she receives this bad news, and she starts and she thinks a little bit about Septimus. But Clarissa, as I told you, identifies with Septimus and admires him for having preferred to die rather than destroying his soul. Through the piece that you will have the possibility to read, that you will actually to live, um, you could analyze a lot of aspects. If you go on page 364, which I put you as homework for next Thursday when we are going to meet again, you should read the piece first of all, and then just I will show you, because I don't know how to share the screen through doing to organizing lessons on YouTube. If you can see those pages, after having read this piece, you will just fill in number one and number two, comprehension. I don't know. Probably I will show to switch the light off because it's better. These two, guys, these two comprehensions. Okay, so namely, comprehension exercise number 1 and number 2. Even number 4 and 5, skipping number 3. So number 1, number 2, number 4, and number 5, without any discussions, without any writing at all. Okay. Now I just want to read something else concerning just some reflections into Italian. Okay, because that is important. It is important that you realize what I wanted to explain through this small novel, because actually Mrs. Dalloway is made up of around 150 pages. I just was forgetting of signaling some films, some movies. One stars Vanessa Redgrave. Okay, it should have been made around 2007. If you just let me take the exercise book, my notebook, where I had put. Yes, the film has been shoot in 1997. It stars Vanessa Redgrave. Okay, as you can see, even the hours is another novel written by Virginia Woolf, following the stream of consciousness. But I recommend Mrs. Dalloway of 1997, starring Vanessa Redgrave. Leggetevela perché è veramente molto molto interessante. È bello il film da vedere. È bello perché dà profondità. E questa profondità che Virginia Woolf apporta, dà alle sue opere, trasmette nelle sue opere, la si può leggere, ma il film la rappresenta vivamente. Ok? Adesso vi leggo questa parte. Mrs. Dalloway, come Ulysses, ci ricordiamo, lo ha scritto James Joyce, la vita di Stephen Dedalus, che si compie in un giorno ed è un po' paragonata all'Odissea. Si svolge in un solo giorno, il cui trascorrere è scandito per 17 volte dai rintocchi delle ore. Infatti The Hours era inizialmente proprio pensato, era un romanzo inizialmente pensato per dar nome a Mrs. Dalloway, ok? La vicenda e la giornata della protagonista, una dama dell'alta società londinese, sfiora e si alterna a quella di Septimus, mentalmente distrutto dall'esperienza bellica, e nel finale si suiciderà. Di grandissima sensibilità e di commovente profondità è il ritratto psicologico che Woolf ci offre dei suoi personaggi. Non solo di Mrs. Dalloway, ma anche del suo antico corteggiatore Peter Walsh e dei suoi slanci generosamente sentimentali. Di Septimus e della sua mente sconvolta e infine del marito Richard Dalloway, improvvisamente determinato a dire alla moglie in chiare parole che la ama, porgendole un mazzo di fiori. Questi fiori non glieli darà. Il romanzo traduce naturalmente narrativamente, il principio per cui la realtà non è oggettiva. We have said that reality is not objective, ma è quanto viene soggettivamente percepito, non tanto dal narratore che si defila, spesso scompare. We don't have anymore an omniscient narrator, but the narrator is hidden beneath the lines, ok? Quanto dai personaggi, dai momenti di rivelazione che li trafiggono, dai meccanismi associativi della mente che vagano nello spazio e nel tempo e che dettano il procedere delle narrazioni. Da simili soluzioni tecniche, sempre dirette a valorizzare l'esperienza interiore, è caratterizzato To the Lighthouse, Gita al faro, che vi consiglio allo stesso modo di vedere. Gita al faro, lasciatemi un attimo guardare che me l'ero segnato. Allora, Gita al faro invece è stato girato un po' prima, in 1993, ma è un film che vale la pena di essere visto. Quindi da simili soluzioni e realizzate dirette a valorizzare delle esperienze interiori è caratterizzato To the Lighthouse, Gita al faro. Scritto, it was written in 1927, so 2 years later than Mrs. Dalloway. L'esperienza narrata nella prima parte del romanzo è quella di Mrs. Ramsay e del suo mondo familiare vittoriano. Nella seconda è quella della pittrice Lily Briscoe e del suo travaglio creativo felicemente concluso. Lily Briscoe doesn't know painting, she's drawing a painting, but it is very difficult for her um, to conclude it. And her conclusion is a pedagogic progress towards a resolution of life as well. Le due parti, che coprono uno spazio di poche ore, è posto un breve intermezzo che copre i 10 anni comprensivi della prima guerra mondiale che le separano. Poi ci sono in realtà altri romanzi di cui parla, The Waves, eccetera, ma alla fine volevo leggervi questo. Con questi romanzi è da ricordare anche Orlando, biografia fantastica dell'amica Victoria Sackville West, con la quale ebbe una relazione, un affair, insomma, una relazione amorosa. Orlando parla dell'identità, anche questo vi consiglio di leggere anche in italiano perché è molto interessante. Parla proprio dell'identità. L'uomo è diviso tra un'identità maschile e femminile che fatica a riconoscere, ma che all'atto del proprio riconoscimento poi lo porta ad un'autocelebrazione, ed è quello che succede a Vita Sackville West, che è raccontata appunto attraverso un personaggio androgino, le cui vicende spaziano in 4 secoli di storia. Virginia Woolf si colloca ai vertici dell'espressione modernista e la arricchisce con la sua acuta e fondante riflessione sull'universo femminile e sulla scrittura al femminile. Anche Woolf sapete che morì suicida nel 1941, cedendo a quell'annichilente depressione che l'aveva tormentata per tutta la vita e che però ha lasciato dei segni indelebili, soprattutto nelle sue produzioni letterarie, che sono veramente molto valide e molto belle.